I belong by the poolside, don't I? With some cabana boys waiting on me, one with a fan, one with a lemonade, and one just there. But I'm here in Michigan. Yeah. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyla, and I do custom designs, pattern hacks, home decorating, and a whole lot more. I've had this caftan pattern in my stash for a little bit now, not too long, and I recently saw a post from the Simplicity Creative Group that they're doing the Sew Caftan 2024 challenge. So I thought, why not make this now? I was fortunate enough to find a rayon crinkle solid, which is a really cool and comfortable fabric, especially now that we're really getting into the hot months in Michigan. And I found it in the same color. So of course, I had to get it because it matches the pattern exactly. And I wasn't even trying. The pattern I'm using is a vintage design from 1979. It's Vogue pattern V1886. And I'm making the caftan exactly as is and not making any changes to it at all. The only change that I may have to make is if I can't find a cording that I like for the front part area to gather it together. So that I may have to make out of the fabric to match, but I can do that, that's no problem. I'll just cut a piece along the selvage and make it 2 yards long, which I think is what the pattern calls for, and go from there. So, without further ado, let's get started. So before I lay out the pattern pieces on the fabric, I'm going to add the extensions at the bottom because there are some instructions that state it's not a complete pattern. Before you alter or cut, lap the tape extensions over and then make your adjustments. So I'm going to do that because I'm definitely going to have to adjust this pattern, being that I'm barely 5'2", and I know that this caftan will be way too long for me, and I don't want to trip and fall down the steps. So I'm going to repeat this for also piece number 2 and piece number 5, which are the back and the sleeves. They all have an extension. Then I'll be able to lay it out and start cutting. So I'm going to shorten the pattern here at this lower line. They give you 2, but the waistline area is usually fine for me because my waistline is short, but my legs are long. So I have a tendency to go towards the bottom of patterns when they have an area where you can lengthen or shorten down there. So I've held the pattern piece up to myself and I need to take it up about 3 inches. So I'm going to do that just by folding it here. A little bit more. Okay, let's see what this measures out to be. A little bit more. Okay, perfect. Now I'll just pin that in place so that it doesn't move. And I'll repeat the same for the front piece, the two side pieces, and also the sleeve. Then I can lay it out and start cutting the fabric. I'm really pushing it, but I think I can make it by taking the side pieces and the back piece and the facings and using that for the smaller piece of fabric. And then the larger section, which is almost 3 yards, I'll use that one for the sleeves and the front, which is cut on the fold. And if push comes to a shove, I may have to adjust these sleeves and not make them quite as long, maybe like stopping them midway. But hopefully I can get it out, and we will see. So I have my darts marked on both of the side pieces, and it's really faint because I just used a tiny little piece of soap like this, but I like how easy it is to wipe it off, and I don't have to do any scrubbing or putting it back in the washing machine. And for this type of fabric, since it's a lightweight crinkle rayon solid, I'm going to use the 7511 needle size, which is for lightweight type fabrics. So that should work well. And that's this type with the yellow here for my brother machine. Okay, so I had to make a change. The sleeves will not fit with the amount of fabric that I have left. So what I'm going to do is shorten it by about 5 inches at the bottom, keeping my point on the extension in place. And then I'll also have to cut the sleeves a little bit more narrow as well, because I can't get them across the width of what I have left. That should work. So we'll see. Okay, so here are the sleeves cut out, and I think this is going to turn out just fine. They've still got their length, they've got their point at the end, and I think the sleeves will be long enough to drape over the arms like the pattern. Sometimes you just got to work with what you've got. To reinforce the buttonholes in the front, the pattern instructions call for you to cut 2 strips of your remnant fabric about 1¼ inches long and 1/2 inch wide. It doesn't say where to attach them, front or back, but it is the back. I just know that just from having instructions like this before. And you'll do that on both sides, based around the 4 sides, and then proceed with your buttonhole. That's just to give a little bit of reinforcement, because usually when you make buttonholes, there's 2 layers of fabric that you're going through. And with this, it's just 1. So once you do that, that'll make it so that your buttonholes keep their shape and don't move and disform and become another shape. So for the buttonholes, I don't have a button the exact size of the marking that they have on the pattern piece, but I did find a denim like rivet style button that's close enough. So I'm going to use this as my guide to make buttonholes, because the way this feed works, or this foot works for this machine, you need to insert something in it to replicate the size that you need. Okay, so the buttonholes are giving me an issue. This is just with 2 pieces of fabric together, emulating the front bodice piece and the little strip of fabric on the back. And I don't know if it's just too lightweight or what, but just wasn't feeding through the machine correctly. So yeah, it kind of looks like that. So I'm thinking of putting a piece of fusible interfacing in between the 2 layers, just to act as a stabilizer, and maybe that will give a little bit more weight to the fabric and help it travel through the machine more easily. So I've got 2 pieces together, and I've ironed a little piece of stabilizer in between, which is just lightweight fusible interfacing. And I'm going to try that and see how it goes. Okay, this looks promising. So let's see what we have. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. Okay. So that's what I needed to do. Because the fabric was so lightweight, I just needed to put interfacing in between to give it a little bit more stability. Yay. Now I can move on to the actual bodice piece. And this is why you always do a practice test first. All right, I've got both buttonholes in, and they are looking so much better than this. So what I'm going to do on the back side of it is just trim the little strip a little bit closer to the stitching, because it's so tightly stitched that there shouldn't be a whole lot of raveling. So I'm just going to do that just to make that look a little bit neater. All right, now I can connect the front to the back and move on to the neckline facing. So this is the dart for the side panels, piece number 6, and the pattern calls for the dart to be cut open and pressed flat, but I'm actually going to leave that closed because I don't want any raw edges to have to serge, and you can't French seam a dart. And I'm trying my hardest to get through the entire garment without having to serge anything, just rolled hem edges and French seams. I'm taking all my pieces that have about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance to be pressed on the edge, and I'm getting all the pressing out of the way so that I can just go straight forward with just sewing them in place. So that includes the sleeves, the neck facing, and then also the side panels that attach the back and the front. Now that I have the sleeves attached, I can attach the side panel pieces and then hem the bottom, and my caftan will be complete. So here's a cording that I made with the leftover fabric, just the selvage edge that I had on one of the pieces to make the cording. I couldn't find anything pre-made at the fabric store. I didn't have time to go to another one or order anything, so I just decided to make my own out of the same fabric. It's about 1/2 inch wide, which is the width of the cording that they said that you need for this pattern, so that should be good. And I think I'm going to like the idea of the fabric being the same as well. That way it won't conflict with any jewelry. Not like I'll ever wear this out the house. This is probably just something that I'll lounge around, or maybe, I don't know, if I go somewhere and I get to sit by the pool, maybe then. But other than that, I'll be wearing it mainly in the house. So I'm going to use a bobby pin just to turn this. And I made a little snippet. You can see right there, like a little mouth. And I'm going to insert the bobby pin with one side to catch the little notch as a hook, and then the other side on the outside. This pattern gives me all the feels of a 1960 or 1970 poolside hotel in Miami with cabana boys, one on each side, one with a fan, one with a lemonade, and one asking me, what else do I need? It just has that kind of look, that kind of feel to it. And the fabric was perfect. I love that rayon crinkle solid doesn't have a nap on one side, so there's no shading on the underside. So when I lift my arms, it just appears like the fabric is the same on both sides. So I really love that. And when the pattern says that it's easy, it was very easy. This didn't take me long to make at all. I had to split it up in a couple of days just because I'm doing other things, but it was fairly easy. And I love that it was all machine stitching, no notions, no zipper, no buttons, none of that, just straightforward fabric and thread. So you've got to give this pattern a try. I really recommend it, and it's definitely a classic, so I'm sure I'll be making this pattern again. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you enjoyed today's content, please give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Oh, and before I go, our community is growing. I'm over 500 now, and I'm on my way, and it's thanks to all of you guys for watching and supporting me. I appreciate you very much, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.